Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Crystal, and we're here both to talk about The Green Knight, which is the latest theatrical release from A24. If you guys don't know A24, it's a production company that's kind of making a name for itself and becoming known for a production company that kind of showcases and promotes really unique films from directors that are really great, and they kind of let them have as much creative control as they want, which is cool for, I don't know, just seeing really interesting projects.
I really enjoyed this movie going in. This was a story, oddly enough, that I kind of grew up with because my dad had like a King Arthur storybook that he would used to read to me and my siblings when we were young, and The Green Knight was literally one of the stories in there. So the fact that they were able to make this movie, I was really excited about it, and I was not disappointed at all.
I'm kind of quickly becoming an A24 fan. I love horror movies, and A24 kind of has been churning out really interesting and unique horror movies like Midsommar, Hereditary, The Lighthouse, and all by great directors.
Yeah, definitely.
And so
It's definitely it has a particular A24 style. It's
Yeah.
becoming much more obvious to me as the years go by.
And A24 doesn't just do horror. Like they also, they have Safdie brothers in their wheelhouse. So they did Uncut Gems, Good Time. So I'm always excited when I hear like A24 buzz, especially for this film because was led by Dev Patel.
Yeah.
Who?
So we're going to talk about
Yeah.
like our thoughts on the plot of the story. We're going to also talk about our gripes, any gripes that we had with it. And then we'll talk about our favorite moments. So yeah, what did you think about the overall story, as it were?
The story, okay. So I know we talked about this earlier, but it's based on basically an Arthurian legend, and it's like a medieval poem. But as abstract as that may seem, or like how like you think like maybe that could like lose some people, it was actually pretty straightforward, I thought. And I thought it was like pretty easy to follow and just immerse yourself and just be along for the ride, basically, which is, I mean, with this type of movie, you kind of have to keep yourself open for that kind of possibility.
Definitely.
Because for me, it's more of like, it's just one of those visual films for me. Maybe the story like didn't really do it for me as much as like everything else, like as far as like the performance and the visuals, the set design, the costume design, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I very much enjoyed the story. I came into it being slightly familiar with it, right? Like I haven't read the like original by anonymous poem or epic poem that this story is based off of, but from my limited understanding of the story, I kind of came into it knowing what to expect, and I think it helped me properly orient my opinions going in as far as what the story was going to be. And I was very much along with the ride, like what Crystal was saying. The different trials that he meets on his way to the Green Knight, I was really happy to see that because I was kind of expecting that that's what they were going to focus on. It wasn't necessarily going to be about his confrontation with the Green Knight, but about the adventure that he goes on to get there. And so I think that that's really where this movie excelled. In focusing more of the story and the plot on those moments on the way to the Green Knight.
I think it had a pretty good ending. The last line is, "Now I'm ready now," where he kind of chooses to be an honorable knight over, I guess, a dishonorable knight, and choose choose the, I don't know, honorable way of letting the knight do whatever needed to be done. And then it kind of ends like open-ended. We don't know if he dies or not. But I don't know if you did you see the after credit scene?
No.
There was one. I didn't watch it either. I had to learn about this later. I left right after. But basically, it's a girl picks up a crown, and that's supposed to be Sir Gawain's daughter, showing that he does become king and he lives in a kind of different timeline than the one that he imagines when he runs away from the Green Knight.
Yeah.
Which shows that it was the right choice, that doing the honorable thing made his life better.
Right. I'm sure that, and I know that it leaves it open-ended, but as far as my interpretation of the movie, he survives. The Green Knight we see is essentially sent by his mother, Morgana Le Fay, and this might go into my gripes with the movie, but they don't necessarily make a lot of things very clear that I think if they had made these things clear, it would have elevated the story. But the Green Knight is sent by his mother, and so one interpretation of the Green Knight and who he is it could be a tool used by his mother to basically turn her son, who she sees as not being, he's not a capable knight, he's not necessarily reaching his full potential, making him become the knight that he's basically meant to be, and somebody who's honorable enough to take over the mantle of king from King Arthur. And so I think that is essentially what we get from the story. I don't know.
Yeah, well, me not knowing anything about it, I got that too. I was like, why would the mom summon him? But kind of seeing him go through the trials, I was thinking, okay, she wants him to straighten up. Because in the beginning, we see him, he's kind of like a ne'er-do-well kind of. We see him literally first scene, he's in a brothel, right? Mm-hmm. He comes home early in the morning drunk, right? And just like a crazy teenager kind of. And the mom's like, yeah, you smell like you just came from church because you smell like wine. So it's like, yeah, he's just kind of like a screw up, I guess, or just irresponsible. So I definitely got from that, even though he was in mortal danger, that, okay, maybe she summoned him to kind of give him a challenge that would make him straighten up.
Yeah.
And be the knight he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I got that. I got that from everything in the film and not knowing anything going in.
Right. Which is odd. Well, so the story that I knew, his mother wasn't really a character in it. And so the person that was the Green Knight in the story that I grew up with, it was the Lord of the House, right before he goes to meet the Green Knight. Like that, the Lord of that house, the guy who goes out hunting, that was the Green Knight in the story that I grew up with. But this one was different. And I think this one was better, to be honest. I think it's better that it's somebody with a deeper connection to Sir Gawain, because it elevated his journey in a sense. One of the things that I looked into after watching the film, that I found out as I was looking into the movie, was all of the trials that he goes through on his way to the Green Knight are connected to what is called the 5 points of chivalry, okay. I think. And so there are these 5 points of chivalry that are supposed to be what makes a great knight. And they kind of symbolize that with the star on the Knights of the Round Table that you kind of see. And I guess we're kind of going into grievances as well, because I feel like they should have made this much more clear.
A little more obvious.
In the movie. Like if King Arthur had this great speech about this is what it means to be a knight, and he listed out those 5 things. And then, because what happens is it's stuff like courteousness, charity, chastity, all of there's these things that he basically is he encounters on his travels. So charity with the kid in the field of the battle.
Robber. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that he was not able to be charitable to this person who's obviously searching for scraps, that kind of he failed to be charitable with that person, and that led to bad stuff happening. And then at the same time with and this, I know we're jumping around here, but one of my favorite parts was the part with Winifred, the ghost lady, when he is when he's in Winifred's house. He basically goes to sleep on this random person's bed. Mm-hmm. He's not being courteous at all. And when the lady asks him to get her head for him at the bottom of the lake, he asks, what is in it for me? And she's like, why would you even ask me that? That's the opposite of what a knight would do. So things like that, he's constantly faced with decisions on certain things, and he fails each time. he fails each time until like the very, very end.
Yeah, because
with the
he
Green
fails
Knight.
chastity too, and like
Yeah.
that great scene at the head of the house, like his household. Mm-hmm. That one was pretty obvious. But yeah, it definitely seemed like he was going through the trials over the course of the movie, but it almost seemed like he was just stumbling upon them instead of like, if it had been like outlined a little bit before, just to see like, oh, okay, I think I know what's
Yeah.
coming. That might have made things like a little bit clearer and not make it feel like it was like meandering.
Yeah.
This is, I guess, maybe like a personal gripe too. I went into the movie like kind of sleepy, and like some of the monologues are very like soft spoken. It's like based off of like medieval language, dude. It's like medieval poetry. And I know some of the really long ones would kind of make me like doze off a little. But it was very well performed. I do want to watch it again. I didn't like fall asleep, but there were some times where I was definitely like kind of like trying to like blink to keep my eyes open.
For sure.
I really like this film, all right? Like I'm really into great visuals and style, and that's what this movie gave me.
Definitely a lot of great visuals.
Just to balance like the gripes. I mean, Dev Patel's performance, like he really like, it's one of those physical performances. Like he really like sacrificed his body. He was like slogging through marshland. He was just lots of great physicality in there.
And the way that they portrayed the Green Knight was fantastic. I like the voice, and like every step you like feel it. I like watching this in the movie theaters, like with that sound. It's like you feel every movement that he makes, and it was great. And the way that he looked was fantastic.
The sound design was great. The score was really haunting. There were some songs that really made me feel like really immersed. It was a definitely immersive film. Everything seemed really genuine. Like all the stuff just seemed authentic that's in there, like the set, the costumes. And that's what I liked the most about it. Especially being someone who I guess was like not so hype about the story. Like I was just there for an A24 film because I like to support A24. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, apart from the times where I was like, what are they even saying? Like, and that's just me, I guess. You know, it's hard sometimes to be fully immersed when like the language can be
it can be a barrier
boring.
sometimes. Yeah. I think, but yeah, just to close out the gripes, I think that they could have made things clearer if they made some certain symbolic things much more clearer. It would have improved the overall story, in my opinion.
We're not asking to get our hand held, but like, it definitely sometimes was like, where is this going?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and where is this coming from?
Yeah.
It's like, and the fact is, like, like there's meaning behind these things because it's that kind of movie.
You know that he's going on a journey to like find himself, and like they did a good job of like setting it apart and like making it different from any other type of like, oh, this is a journey where you face trials.
Yeah.
But we know what it is going into it. Like, it's a journey with trials.
We can quickly go through our favorite moments. Like I mentioned earlier, the whole deal with Winifred in the Ghost Lady. I thought that was fantastic. And she's the actress from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I recognize her from that. She's
great. Yeah, she did great. That whole moment was great. I just liked the idea of like a ghost asking for help from this knight, and that was one of my favorite. And then obviously the ending with that final trial.
Now I'm
with the
ready.
Green Knight.
I'm ready now. That I definitely started to feel a little more like suspense. Like, oh my God, is he really gonna die now? Like I felt the anxiety that I think Dev Patel's character was feeling, which is great. Maybe this is basic of me, but I like the scene where we first get introduced to the Green Knight, and like even
that was a fantastic scene.
Yeah, because we get to see like Merlin in there, and like he's like helping like King Arthur, and
he's carrying the holly branch because it's Christmas.
And like the wife, when she gets basically she's like a conduit for whoever is like for the Green Knight to like read the letter that they get sent. That was a really great scene. It just felt very like fantastical and magical in that scene, because I was like, okay, this is the stuff of Legends now, because it's actually it's pretty what's the word, like tame. Like it's not so fantastical, but there are elements that are like definitely a little more like
It's
have the
definitely
fantasy element there.
It's like a mix between high and low fantasy. It's there's like a realistic grounding to it, but there's still like a ton of magic going around.
It is.
Like
It is grounded. I would say it's grounded.
He sees giants, but it still feels like grounded.
Yeah, like it still feels like, yeah, maybe we could see that if we go out to Iceland or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
And that balance, I think, is, I don't know, that's kind of what sticks with me, that there was like the groundedness of it and then the fantastical elements. So, and then it would like catch you by surprise too when some of those elements came in, which is great.
I thought that the ending where it kind of shows this initial when he runs away and he basically goes on to live the life of a failed knight, basically,
a dishonorable knight.
He's a dishonorable knight. He's a knight without honor, but he still lives the life of a knight.
And then he becomes a king without honor.
He becomes a king without honor, and we get to see what that leads to, and that it doesn't lead to anything good, as opposed to and the fact that like he at the end he figures out that like it's better to just die trying to be an honorable knight than it is to live as a dishonorable knight. I think that's the ending thesis of this whole film, and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and we do learn with the after credit that he made the right choice. I mean, because he's living like a totally different life than the one that he envisions as a dishonorable knight and a dishonorable king.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I really enjoyed it. I think I could have done without seeing Dev Patel hold his semen. I think that was a little bit much.
Yeah, there's some outrageous parts in it, but you know, it's A24.
Yeah, but aside from that stuff, great movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So be sure to share your comments down below if you've seen the movie, what you think about it, if you're gonna watch it, if you haven't seen it already, if you're gonna watch it, and then definitely like and subscribe, share the video. Peace.